Wire is at CNN Center. Coy, when you spoke to the swimming legend, were you surprised with some of the things he told you?
Absolutely, Alex. I was surprised with how open he was about some of his darkest moments, when he struggled with suicidal thoughts. I spoke with Phelps last summer at the Olympic Games in Rio when he was on top of the world, making history, 23 gold. But when I spoke with him a few days ago, I wanted to know what helped shape the man that we see today, the greatest Olympian of all time. He'd been through a lot of adversity. In 2009, after a successful Beijing Games, a photo emerged of him smoking marijuana. He took a lashing from the media and even his own fans. Without focus and his usual strict training, he would go on to win 4 golds and 2 silvers at the 2012 London Games, briefly retired, but then in 2014, Phelps was arrested on drunk driving charges. This was his rock bottom moment, the darkest place you could ever imagine, he says. He wasn't talking to anyone, didn't want to see anyone. He contemplated taking his own life, but he couldn't hurt those he loved. So he checked himself into a rehab center. He got his life back on track. In May of 2016, an empowering moment in his life, he celebrated the birth of his son, Boomer. Just 3 months later, Boomer was in Rio with his wife, Nicole, where they cheered on a man with regained focus and purpose. Phelps' adversity had nearly crushed him, but in the end, it strengthened him. Rio, 31 years old, 5 more golds. After all that, how did that redemption feel?
I'm always hard on myself, though. I mean, I saw the replay of the 200 IM finish this morning, and they're like, "Oh, that was amazing," and I was like, "Yeah, still didn't break the world record." Like, I figured if I figured if I was that far ahead, I was going to break the world record. But that was one thing I wanted. I wanted to break one more world record. I wanted to go out with 40 world records, and that would have been awesome.
What has scared you most in your life?
I would probably say when I didn't want to be alive anymore. That was the freaky. Like, at that point, like, I just thought it was the best thing to do is just not to be here.
What took you to that place? What was going through your mind?
Well, I've been known to not always make the best decisions. Needed to change something in my life, and I was kind of in a lost place. So we did some research on what we could do, and I went to treatment for a couple weeks, and just basically like rebuilt myself. You know, they kind of tore me down and built me back up.
For youngsters who may be watching this, what would you say to them so that maybe they don't have to get to that dark place? There's a lot of pitfalls and potential distractions out there on your path towards greatness. Sure. What would your message be?
You know, for me, I think the longest time, like, I was afraid to ask for help. As an American, with weakness, right? Like, in our society, it's just not what you do. So, you know, for me, it took me a while to get to that point where, you know, it's okay to ask somebody for help.
I want to rewind, and if you could go back and talk to your younger self, what would you want to say to him? What bit of advice would you give him?
Nothing.
Nothing?
I mean, even today, like, I wouldn't change anything because I'm happy with who I am now. I love who I am today. I can look at myself in the mirror and love who I am. And that was something that I couldn't do 4 years ago.
Intriguing at all? Maybe go for a swim in Tokyo? No. Definitely not.
No. But you know, for me, after 2012, I retired and took some time away from the sport, and for me, I had to be able to find the passion if I wanted to do it again. It's been a fun career, and now I get to kind of go back and look at everything that I did.
Go back to
I never had that. You know, I was always going in from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, and now I finally get to look at the medals and realize what happened in the 20+ years that I was swimming.
What has he done? Cemented himself not only as the greatest Olympian, that, Alex, he had to conquer himself. Perhaps the most compelling facet of Michael Phelps' storybook career. The rest of the chat with Michael Phelps will be tomorrow on Tuesday's edition of World Sport.